Hey everyone, we are live. If you are Devin and watching this, dude, take your time. We got this. Um, or Devin's running a little bit late, airlines and such. But we are here. We did the show without him for a few years before he joined us. Last time I said that it did not go well, but we can handle this. Um, But yeah, you guys started without me last week. Now we're starting without Devin this week. Ryan, you have to be late next week. I'm sorry. It's just how it works. It's just how it works.
Fine.
Actually,
I'm not even going to show up.
actually,
I'm not even going to show up.
No,
I'm not even going
actually, no. I take that back because you were almost late the week before last. Because
Yes, almost.
so it all works out. We're all not very punctual, is what it comes down to. But we are here, we are live, and we're going to be talking about a few Predator movies. We got a double feature lined up for you guys tonight. So, yeah, I think without further ado, we should just start off the show.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And Devin should be joining us shortly. He's running a little bit late, but we're going to get started without him. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I can actually use my phone without fear of cutting my fingers, so I'm very happy about that.
That's always a good thing. Yeah, I've been bugging you to get your phone fixed for years now.
Yeah, and it's COVID ruins everything.
Yeah.
I'll just like if for people who don't get that connection, which I know is very odd, I broke my phone like 3 days before the official, like COVID lockdown happened like 2 years ago. And so my phone was cracked, wasn't that bad at the beginning. So I was like, I'll wait, a few weeks, and a few weeks for like everyone else turned into a few months, turned into 2 years. So my phone is finally fixed, new battery, new screen.
Yeah.
I feel better.
I had I had COVID cell phone issues too. I was trying to get onto a prepaid off of my parents' plan onto a prepaid plan, and I couldn't do anything with it with the stores shut down. Like it was such a pain. I eventually got it. Like it took until like October, but I did it eventually. Yeah. But I couldn't do anything. That was a weird time when everything. Like I saw like a Facebook post of pictures of people grocery shopping in March 2020, and I was like, man, that was a time that we will hopefully never have to repeat again. But Ryan froze on me again. Ryan, you there? Ryan did say he was having internet issues, so I think I might have to vamp by myself for a bit. So this is going to be fun. Here we go again. Every time Ryan and I start the show off by ourselves, bad things happen. So here we are. This is me talking to myself again. Yeah, so I didn't want to talk about this tonight, but since Ryan's frozen, I guess I'm going to talk about it. And so last Tuesday we did our show, and about an hour after we wrapped, some news broke out of Warner Brothers DC that they scrapped the Batgirl movie. And I'm going to use this platform to vamp about that for a few minutes while Ryan and Devin figure out what's going on. Looks like Ryan's internet is out. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I'm upset that DC canceled Batgirl. And it might not be for the reasons that you think. There's been a lot of press about this over the last week. Batgirl is probably the only DC film I was actually looking forward to seeing in theaters, or not even in theaters, on HBO Max. That's the only DC film I was actually excited to see, for a few reasons. One, Michael Keaton was returning as Batman, so that's awesome. That's more Michael Keaton Batman in the world. Say less. Brendan Fraser was playing Firefly, Brendan Fraser was the bad guy. This was supposed to be one of the films that helped restart his film career before The Whale or after The Whale comes out, which is a Darren Aronofsky film that is premiering at one of the film festivals this fall. So Brendan Fraser and Michael Keaton were big draws for this movie. And Batgirl, like, the directors worked on Batgirl, or not Batgirl. They worked on Ms. Marvel. And I really enjoyed Ms. Marvel. We haven't talked about it much on the show, but I really enjoyed the vibe that Ms. Marvel put out. Like, I'm probably not the target audience for Ms. Marvel, but I really enjoyed what they did with that show, all around. But then it got scrapped completely. Warner Brothers has cut the film. It will never be released. They are taking a tax write-off for it. So they get $20 million in a tax write-off to scrap this $90 million film completely. And I have here are my issues with that. A lot of people are saying the movie has not tested well in test audiences, which is fine. That's usually what happens. That's not the main reason they canceled it, though. Like, Ryan's back. I'm going to keep going, though. The tax write-off thing, when you put business decisions before art and you're a publisher of art, that's a problem. I don't think Warner Brothers making business decisions over artistic decisions is the way I want to see the Warner Brothers as a company go. Because you have not only the actors that I mentioned before, and Leslie Grace, who was playing Batgirl, you have everyone who worked on that film behind the scenes. The whether it's the directors, the cinematographers, costuming, craft services, everyone who's put their heart and soul into this movie for the last year. No one will ever see their work now, because Warner Brothers decided, instead of putting a little bit more money into this movie to fix it and finish it, we're just going to scrap it completely. And I'm hoping that they can reverse that decision. But when I see headlines about Ezra Miller being charged with felony breaking and entering charges in Vermont, and then like everything else that they have done over the last few months, like it makes it really hard for me to get excited for The Flash or anything else coming out, because I don't think The Flash is coming. Like, I don't think we're going to see this version of the Flash film that they have. I don't think we're ever going to see Michael Keaton as Batman, and that breaks my heart. Rant over. Welcome back.
At least you had something to vamp about while I was, running around like a crazy person in my apartment.
I'm totally going to cut that out for the podcast, though, because if you're watching live, that's just for you. So that's my segment for we're never going to watch this because it's locked in the vault at Warner Brothers. Just like the Warner Brothers and their sister Dot. Yeah. Locked away.
I was wondering when you were going to bring up that joke. I was wondering when you were going to...
Yeah. So, Ryan, do you have anything that you've watched this week?
No, I mean, when it comes to what I've been doing with my free time, my wife and I have been packing for Florida for next week. So, I mean, I think this is the first time in my life that I am fully packed, except for like the 10% of things you can't pack until like a few hours before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the first time that I'm actually ready. Like, ready for like packing. Like, nothing's going to be forgotten. We're going to have everything we need.
I think Devin would be very upset if we talked exclusively about your trip to Disney World without him on the show. So let's do it.
I think we should. Yes.
So you haven't been there in a few years. Is there anything new that you're excited to go see at Disney?
Star Wars Land, or whatever they call it.
Galaxy's Edge. Sure. Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge. See, I'm going off of like 90s Disney naming of its parks.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Land. Star Wars. So Galaxy's Edge, they were working on another one. I think Toy Story. Like,
yeah,
they were
working
on like like Village or something.
Yeah, this Toy Story Village. That's probably more
Yeah.
entertaining than Lightyear. Uh,
Yeah. There's that, but I mean, simply like the last time we went, my goddaughter was like 4. She was 4 years old. Now she's 9. So it's going to be interesting to see the difference of taking a 9-year-old to Disney compared to a 4-year-old, which I know it's going to be challenging.
yeah. I'm gonna have to give you items to buy for me because there are a few things I have my eye on. I just haven't made it to Florida yet.
Gotcha.
You might be coming back with an Infinity Stone. I'm not sure yet. But Devin had something for we watched this. He had the Trainwreck Woodstock '99 documentary off of Netflix. I'm sure he liked it and was fascinated that all this happened and he didn't know about any of it.
I would not be surprised if that was the case. I mean, I just personally, I just hope that they don't that like every other documentary that they've ever done on the riots that happened at Woodstock '99. I really hope that they didn't just focus on Limp Bizkit and like Green Day because like they got the brunt of the blame of what happened. But I truly believe, even though Fred Durst is not the best person on the planet, I really doubt that if he would have known what was going on, Limp Bizkit wouldn't have done what they did. And yes, I'm here defending Limp Bizkit because I am a fan of
but the thing is,
I'm a fan of the greatest hits album right here.
Look, we're all Limp Bizkit fans. We're not questioning that, Ryan. I think the thing that we need to know here is the documentary does come out pretty strongly in favor of him. It doesn't say that it was his fault. It's that tensions were building up until that point in the thing, and Limp Bizkit was just like, I'm Limp Bizkit, and that's all he needed to do. I mean, had the Spice Girls come out and said, we're the Spice Girls, it would have had the same effect. Also, hey, everyone.
So your timing was absolutely perfect.
Oh, it was. It really was.
I try.
That was fantastic. So yeah, did I pull the right poster? I don't know if you can see the stream.
Oh yeah, let me take a look. I think you did.
The one on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, it was the one. Yeah, because there's also one that they did on HBO Max, and it's not as good as this one. This one went way more in depth, especially about like the sheer number of like sexual assaults that happened and all like the really nitty gritty ugly, and not Limp Bizkit ruined our thing, which isn't what it all should have happened.
I think that's what the HBO Max thing does.
It was. It absolutely was.
Yeah.
And that's why I said what I said, because I mean it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sorry, but if you don't order the amount of necessities needed to, like fulfill the basic needs of the amount of people that are showing up, like if you know that you didn't do that, and then you're gonna go ahead and blame a band for what happened, like no. No, I mean,
they threw them on an airport hangar or in a military base hangar. They walled them in, and they went, "Water's $15. Where else you gonna get it?"
I just can't believe they didn't pay Limp Bizkit for everything. I heard they just did it all for the nookie.
I wanted to make that joke. I'm so glad you did.
I couldn't even keep it straight. Oh man. So would you recommend this documentary?
10 out of 10. One of my like secret like passions, and this might be because I'm becoming an old man, I love Woodstock and Woodstock history and really anything that has to do with Woodstock, either the original one or the 99 version. I find it so fascinating. I love the bands. I have the like 4 vinyl pack of the original one and have listened to it like all the way through like 8 times. I don't know. I think it's incredible. I would watch it if you have any passing interest.
Okay. I just realized I wasn't recording my audio that whole time, so my rant is gonna just stay on the live stream.
Oh, that's a shame.
All right, so I watched a thing. I've only watched one episode of a thing, but I figured it's worth talking about.
Tell me.
Neil Gaiman's The Sandman on Netflix.
You watched the thing I wanted to talk about.
The you have to watch this podcast tonight, brought to you by Things We Watched on Netflix. Until we get to the Hulu thing. So I watched the first episode of The Sandman, which just so happens to be the only volume of The Sandman I have ever read.
So wait, episodes are by volumes?
No, I mean it covers like the whole thing's covering the first book. Like it's talking to my wife, it covers the first and second book. Mm-hmm. So, but it's like it's Dream getting locked up and being held captive.
Very cool.
So I really enjoyed it. I think the casting's phenomenal. It reminds like Neil Gaiman shows seem to have their own look and vibe to them. Like it's very similar in style to Good Omens.
Okay, got it.
Which I was surprised by since they're on different platforms, but it still has like the same like look. Like it's different. Like they're two different stories, but it's still like I can look at it and be like Neil Gaiman. I'm really enjoying this. I'm looking forward to watching more episodes, but it's one of those things that I can't sit down and binge. It's like we watched the first episode, it's like, okay, I need a break. Like one a day. We'll take it slowly. Because
is it too weird? Is it too trippy?
No, it's just it's not that it's trippy. It's just like even with Umbrella Academy, we took that slowly. I think with Netflix, I'm just burnt out on binging stuff because of Stranger Things, because that was such a heavy such a long watch. And I think watching things like Better Call Saul and Only Murders in the Building, watching them week to week has gotten me away from binge watching. So taking it slowly, I think, is more enjoyable at this point for me.
That's fair. I can absolutely see why that would be the case.
Yeah.
You kind of process it more. And you can like theorize what's going on and have more fun with it.
Yeah, and I think Disney Plus is to blame for that too, because I've had to wait week to week. It's hot in here and I can't talk. I have had to wait week to week for Marvel shows and Star Wars shows, so I'm back into the weekly episodes trend of things, and I think even with Netflix, I'm trying to pace myself a little bit more. So.
Oh yeah. That's smart. Is Disney Plus currently doing anything worth talking about? I feel like there's always something going on, and I've been kind of off of the boat for a while.
The I Am Groot shorts came out, so they're out right now. And then on I think it's next week. Yeah, next week on the 18th, She-Hulk comes out.
Oh, okay. So pretty close then.
Yeah, we're very close to She-Hulk. But yeah. That's what I've got for We Watch This. Now, Ryan, have you ever heard of the Sandman or read the Sandman or know what the Sandman is?
I'm over here just mentally playing Enter the Sandman from Metallica in my head.
Not the doo-wop song, Mr. Sandman? That's
that
my favorite
too.
one.
They're both going back and forth with each other, kind of like in that movie you guys had me watch about the video game kid. I forget the name of the movie.
Pitch Perfect.
No. I like that movie, but no. Scott
Ready
Pilgrim,
Player
there
One.
we go.
Oh,
like
that
Scott
one.
Pilgrim
Got it.
going back and forth.
Oh,
Okay.
the two bands. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Metallica's winning. Just letting you know.
That makes sense. It's not hard to do.
Yeah. And Devin, I know you've read the Sandman because
I have. I bought them from you.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this show. I really can't because I love the Sandman. I think I've read all of it at this point. I haven't read. Yeah.
I wanted to reread the first volume, but I gave it to you.
And it was gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many volumes did I give you?
You gave me 4, and then I bought the rest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm
all of them.
I'm slowly rebuying them. So.
Good. Oh no, I really do like this story, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. I feel like I loved it so much as a graphic novel that I'm so very leery about seeing what it could be in like TV show form. Yeah. But if you say it's worth watching, having read it, and if Anna likes it too, and it gets her seal of approval, it's probably worth watching.
She wanted to watch another one. I was like, I need a break.
Oh wow.
So, all right. So that does it for We Watch This. Now we're gonna get into today's main topics. We're gonna talk about some Predators. We're gonna be like Chris Hansen up in here. I think we should start with the Predator because I think we have a lot more to say about Prey than we'll have to say about the Predator. And if people are watching us for Prey to hear our thoughts, either fast forward or stay tuned.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah. So in chronological order, we've talked about all the other Predator films minus Alien versus Predator. So I think it makes sense for us to talk about the Predator first. So Ryan, this was your pick. You've made us watch all of these films. Introduce the Predator.
The Predator is a Shane Black 2018, I believe it's 18, film. That is pretty much just, as far as I'm concerned, this is the, hey, you've seen all of the other Predator movies. Now here's a lighthearted Predator comedy. That's how I take this movie. I've always liked it. I've always enjoyed it. I've seen it probably about 10 times since it's released because I watch a lot of movies. That's how I spend a lot of my time. So if that number seems high for people, it's really not for me. And that's how I take this movie, and I really enjoy it. I don't really expect a lot out of it. I never have. So how was your guys' and I saw this in movie theaters.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So there we go. How is your guys, your existence with it prior to seeing it, and now that you've seen it, what do you think?
So I've owned this for the longest time. Somebody who bought it on Blu-ray, and I'm not going to mention names, gave me their digital code. So I've owned it for a while, and I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. So I got to watch it for the first time, and you guys know how big of a Shane Black fan I am. I love this movie. It hits the same notes same sense of humor that a lot of his other films do, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, Iron Man 3. It's got that sense of humor. I learned things about Shane Black from this movie, just reading about it, that I didn't know. Like, he has Tourette's. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is my favorite of the Predator movies so far.
Now, can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
Would you like it as much if you hadn't seen the other ones?
Having known as little as I do about the Predator, yeah, probably. There are things in here that I picked up on having seen the other ones, like the fact that Jake Busey is playing Gary Busey's son in this, which is a stretch for both of them.
Yeah.
But there are some fun Easter eggs, like when she goes into the lab for the first time. There are some fun Easter eggs in here. No, I think just story wise and like sense of humor wise, I would have still enjoyed this. It's not my favorite Shane Black thing.
Oh yeah,
but it's my favorite. It's my favorite Predator film.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me happy. Devin?
My goodness. I knowing about this movie beforehand, the only thing I really knew is that Keegan-Michael Key was in a Predator movie, and I love Keegan-Michael Key a lot. And I knew that Shane Black had done this. I came into this, guys, and this might be my problem. Came into this with sky-high expectations. I am going to love this movie. It's going to be a new take on the genre. This is going to be my favorite movie that I watched this week because I know that, and again, this is without me seeing it, I know that Prey is going to be more of a formulaic Predator movie. This one's going to shake up the formula, and I'm going to love it. Guys, I hated it. It was my least favorite Predator movie I think I've ever watched. And I think for the exact opposite reason as Alan, I think that had this been my first Predator movie, I would have loved this and it would have been my favorite. But I think since I've seen 3 movies now kind of establishing a bit of a genre and a bit of a pace, I left this movie feeling like it was a good alien movie. Not alien in like alien sense, but like a good extraterrestrial movie. But it wasn't a good Predator movie. And I think that's where I came away from it.
Would you say that if someone were to make a Predator comedy, this would fit that vein?
This is the only way to make a Predator comedy. You can't make slapstick predators hitting each other with fish. Like, this is about as comedy as you could ever make a Predator movie, and I appreciate that about it. But there wasn't enough Predator in my Predator for me to Predator.
What?
Okay, so, let's break this down. What is not Predator about this movie?
Yeah,
there was a scene in this that literally I went, this isn't my Predator. And it was, Predator is escaping jail and is being chased down the road by a bus. And I just went, I've never seen this in a Predator movie, and maybe there's a reason why. Like this Predator, and I understand that there are two Predators in this movie, and there's one that is more like acts a bit more like the Predator that we know and love, and one that acts a bit more like your buddy Predator, I guess. But there are just some things in it that I've never really seen a Predator do. There's positions that he puts himself in that I've never seen a Predator put himself in, that I don't think were overly flattering or overly consistent with the character, in much the same way that if the new Halloween movie were to come out and Michael Myers participated in trick-or-treating dressed as a clown and then at one point pulled his clown mask off and it was a Michael Myers mask, you'd be like, would that character really do something like that? I think that the other movies have established predators as a specific kind of hunter class, that him not being totally in control of a situation feels very wrong for me. And for a lot of the movie, the first predator that you see isn't in control of his situation. He's running away, he's escaping, he's crash landed, he's doing X, Y, or Z. And I think that for that reason, it didn't feel like a Predator movie. It felt like a two aliens movie or two extraterrestrials movie for me.
Okay. So
there was a lot in there, I know.
So even though they established that there are there are two different predators in Predators, where they have one who is like the first one in this, tied up to a post that Adrian Bundy has to rescue, which again is the most ridiculous sentence that I could say about this franchise. Even though they've established that there are two different types, and the original Predator that we've been introduced to this whole time is the weaker of the two, seeing the weaker of the two run away from the obvious, more powerful one doesn't fit.
No, I really don't think it does. So I think there's a difference between finding a Predator like tied up and seeing this kind of like power struggle play out on like their planet, and there's a difference between seeing the Predator essentially do some of the things that he did in this movie, where like he was kind of Predator and like sure he like escaped and killed a few people, but it didn't feel in line with his character for some reason. Like it felt like what he was doing was reminiscent of what he should be doing, but took me out of it, I think. And maybe that's just me not wanting to see the Predator do anything but be a Predator.
Let me give you my take on the baby Predator in this.
Okay.
So the whole plot of it is he's trying to help the humans. I don't think he himself is a hunter, and that's why he's not as good of a predator as you're used to seeing in these films. That's why he's different. Because as much as the Predator is a film character, every film has had a different predator. Like we've never had the same character back to back, unless you count Alien versus Predator, but we're not getting into that. So this Predator is like a hippie, is probably the best way I can put it. Like he's trying to bring peace, man. Like trying to help the humans survive this the giant predator, who's taken the ooze from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Secret of the Ooze, and become Super Shredder.
Good.
That's my take on it. Like he's a less violent version of the Predator. He's here to help. He's injured. He's captured. And that's why you see all these different things. But if you take his storyline out of it, this movie is a group of soldiers uniting to fight a predator and survive in the jungle,
which is exactly what the other movies were.
Which is the first movie verbatim. So if you took away does that make more sense to you? Like, does that?
It does. That definitely puts it in more of a context, I think. I mean, I'm trying to put into words specifically what about baby Predator is what I'll call him now, that just struck me as being, I don't know, not as interesting to watch maybe.
Well, the thing is too, you're seeing it as every single individual Predator is like this, like they're all warriors. They all go out on the weekend and they all hunt like the deadliest things in the galaxy. Like that's what you're thinking. Every single one of them wants to do this. I mean, just like in Star Trek, you have Klingons. They are warrior based, they are tribal based, they are vicious and they are really good warriors. But in Star Trek canon, they have lawyers, they have doctors, they have teachers, they have, civil servants that, help, that basically help the elderly. You don't have a society like the Predators that's that advanced, and you don't have like a, at least a few, at the very least, that are like scientists, doctors, engineers, and they're closeted pacifists.
You know what I realized this is, guys? Literally, the last time when we did Predator 2, I ended it by saying, give me a movie of nothing but Predator hot dog salesmen or like Predator scientists. And I just want to see them do that. And I got it in a movie and hated it. This is my revenge. This is my fault. I brought this on myself. I'm sorry. Shane Black, I don't mean it. So does this... Okay, so my understanding of this movie is this isn't the fan favorite of the movies. Is that right, Ryan?
It is not, no.
Okay, so do people have the same problems that I am trying very hard to articulate, or are there other things that I'm just not picking up on that people don't like about it?
Okay, so when you go outside of the hardcore Predator fandom, when you go outside of that, like, people like me, like, I really like the Predator movies, I like the movies, I don't really invest any time in reading the comic books or the books or any of the lore or anything like that. I like this movie because of how I perceive it to be as kind of like the goofy, funny, like you like the movies, here's like a silly one. That's how a lot of people who like this movie see it. The people who hate this movie are the ones that like read all the comic books, like they're fans of Dark Horse comics and, like they've read the books, and Shane Black's style doesn't really fit the type of world that a lot of hardcore Predator fans have.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a very, like, I am glossing over all of the individual arguments I've ever heard or read about it, and just saying that it's pretty much the fact that a lot of them don't like how Shane Black depicted this. Just everything the way that he did it.
So for them, it was more of like a tone thing. Like, Predator is supposed to be this like menacing thing in the woods. It's not supposed to be, your best buddy running in front of a bus or something.
Pretty much.
Okay, I mean that's fair. I think I think if I had to like put my exact finger on what I didn't like, it was just that this felt like if you would replace Predator in this movie with anything else, the plot would have made as much sense. It felt like they were just like, okay, you made a really great alien movie. I don't think it's going to sell. If we replace the generic aliens in your movie with Predators, I think people would go to see it.
The thing is, with me, I would watch this. Let's say it's something else.
Yeah.
I would see... I would pick up on all of the little stuff in this, and even if you change all of the hardware out and make it non-predatory, I would still see it as that, because you have a lot of stuff going on in this movie that relate to their films. And I'll just bring up one character. The government guy, the one who's in charge of the soldiers trying to get the tech and study it.
Yeah.
Him. He's pretty much portraying the cartoony masculinity that Arnold Schwarzenegger and all of his buddies were in the first one. He is my favorite character in this, because every time he's on screen, it's just watching like a cartoon villain. He's just so egotistical. I love it.
I mean, it's a lot like Gary Busey in the second one then, too.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, there's always this one person who's just a straight up cartoon, of just pure masculinity. And in the first movie, it was all of the soldiers. In the second one, it was Gary Busey. In this one, I forget the guy's name, but it's him. And I think in Predators, it's a little bit of all of them, even though that was toned down a bit. I mean,
It was still very much there, though.
Oh yeah, 100% it was there. But there's little things like that throughout this movie that like cues to the Predator franchise that that Shane Black did. Um, that is why I like it so much.
Mhm. Maybe, I mean, it sounds like the cues to the other Predator movies, I guess, were more subtle than I was expecting them to be for a Predator movie, and part of it could just be my expectation going into it. I went, this is a Predator movie. It's going to be a funny Predator movie. I'm going to turn my brain all the way off for this one. And I didn't make the connection that you're saying, where he's like the view of the masculinity. I didn't catch how the characters interacted with each other, or all the little nods to the other Predator movies that you guys see. I mean, even Alan's explanation of the plot in summary, saying it's exactly like number one.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, yeah, but then this part, shit, he's right. So I think I just went, brain's gone, and just watched it and went, what is this? So this might be my fault.
I mean, honestly, as soon as you started describing how you set yourself up, I knew what was coming. And I'm pretty sure Alan did too.
Yeah, you knew where it was going. Did you guys think I'd hate this going into it, or do you think I'd like this one? I'm always curious about what you think. I
didn't think you'd hate it. I'm kind of surprised you hated it.
Yeah.
But now that you gave me reasoning, it makes sense. So this movie wasn't without its controversies. And I don't want to talk about the one because I don't want to talk about that on the internet. But if you look up Olivia Munn, the Predator, there's news stories about why she was upset about this film and got scenes cut.
I don't know about that. I'm gonna look that up afterwards.
She found out an actor who she worked with was on a certain list and should not have been hired.
Oh no.
But beyond that, even before that, the film had issues, and they ended up reshooting the whole third act.
Really?
There was a leaked script. Yeah, evidently Edward James Olmos was in this movie, and they cut all his scenes in the reshoots.
Really?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He was an army general.
Oh.
And had a big role in the third act and throughout the rest of the original cut. And it no longer fit in the reshot version of the film. I'm going to try to find the screenplay that got cut from this and read that, because I'm fascinated by things like that. And I guess there are deleted scenes in the trailers because they reshot it that late in the game that they were already promoting it. So
yeah, there's I forget exactly where they show up because I haven't seen the deleted scenes since I originally watched this when I first got the Blu-ray. There are other Predators, like baby Predators, in this, and they're wearing like camo pants and like militaristic like top body armor that looks ridiculously like Earth military style and not like Predator, like not like the metal and like mesh. Like it's very like synthetic plastic looking and in like camo, like marine pants with like knee pads on them and stuff.
Strange.
Very, very strange. But to kind of keep on going with what Alan, one of the original endings for this movie involved Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back as Dutch.
Does every like version of Predator that comes out always threaten to bring him back?
Wait until we talk about Prey.
Yeah. And every single one, Arnold turns it down. So this is what happened with this one, is when it comes to the original ending of the script, featured a cameo appearance by Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger, from the first film, after defeating the Super Predator, Super Shredder. Well, let's just keep it along that line, because it does. I actually really like that. Quinn, Casey, and Rory are resting when the helicopter are resting after the fight. When the helicopter lands, Dutch steps out and tells them, "You have to come with me." And then the kid goes, "Even me?" And then Dutch goes, "Especially you." And then it's supposed to set up the sequel to this.
It's a better ending than what we got.
Which I have to say, and Kristen really likes this movie. We both have the same feeling about the end. The movie should end like right before it fades and then it comes back to the like ending.
That
like that whole thing could just be cut right off.
The final scene of this movie felt so post-credit.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's before the credits. I'm like, why is this here? Like, do you think no one was gonna sit through the credits, Shane Black? Like, you did a Marvel movie. You know how this works. Yeah, I could have done without that scene. Like,
did you guys like the Predator killer armor?
That needed more time in the oven. Like that suit, like that CGI, like on the instructions on the side of the box, it said to keep that thing in the oven for 4 hours, and they took it out at an hour and a half. That was horrible.
Yeah.
Was I the only one expecting an alien to pop out?
When I saw the goo, yes.
I was expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger to pop out.
That would have been awesome. This ending to me felt almost exactly like the ending from Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah. I mean, this came out 2 years after that from the same studio, so.
Oh, wow. Maybe.
Yeah, right. But I mean, even Quinn's outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the really bad military dress uniform, like that just looked bad. Like that just didn't look right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even that didn't sit well with me. But I mean, other than that, I love this movie. So, you know.
Anything else on the Predator before we move on to the other feature in our double feature?
No.
Oh,
ready.
Actually, I have a surprise. Alan?
Tell me.
So, Devin, there was something when I was researching this movie that I found that there are certain locations that they used for this that is also part of a show that Alan really likes.
What is it?
Okay, so the school football field, that was actually a baseball field, and barn that they used in this movie were the same locations and same buildings they used on a TV show named Smallville.
That's fun.
So,
did you catch them, Alan?
I did not, but now so Ryan told me this before the show, and I only heard farm and barn the first time. I missed the school, but I was like, that school did seem familiar to me, like the outside of it.
Yeah,
because it's a big long like school, and I was like, why does this seem familiar? It makes sense now.
It's very cool.
I'm just disappointed Clark Kent didn't come in and kick that giant predator's ass.
Oh, it would have been cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think that's it for The Predator. Let's move on to the newly released Prey on Hulu, which I just read was Hulu's #1 premiere of all time, film-wise.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I'm not surprised, because people are actually talking about this Predator movie more than I've heard anyone talk about a Predator movie who isn't named Ryan.
I mean, I'm a little obsessed. I'll fully admit it.
Yeah. I love that shirt. I love it.
So yeah, Ryan, you don't really do you want to take point on this one, or do you want to just have like a conversation about Prey?
We can just have a conversation about Prey. I mean, I did some, the only research I was able to have time to do was a screenshot of something I thought was funny I saw in a comment section, and then a meme that I picked up.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's all the studying I did for
research.
So Prey takes place in the 1700s. Follows a Native American Comanche tribe, I believe.
Yeah.
Comanche, yeah.
Comanche, being hunted by a predator back then. So using primitive weapons and dealing with the French settlers in the area. What did you guys think of Prey? Devin, I really want to know what you think, since you hated the Predator.
Yeah. Let's just go with you first.
I loved this movie. 10 out of 10. This is the Predator movie I will go back to and watch again and again and again and again. This was my favorite of the franchise. I loved everything about it. Fight me.
I don't need to fight you. I completely agree.
Okay. Okay.
The Predator might be my favorite. This is the best movie in this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
That's my stance on it. Like, it's maybe not the one I'll go back to and watch all the time. Like, if I had to pick one of these two to rewatch, it'd be the Predator. But that being said, I already did rewatch this with the Kamachi dubbed version. Just because there's so, like, visually this film is entertaining as hell, and I enjoyed every second of it. Even when there wasn't humans or a predator on screen, I thought they did some really cool things with nature and animals, and I really enjoyed this movie. Ryan?
It's definitely the most well done out of all of them, I feel. Like, this one, they went beyond just making it like an action movie, and they actually spent time, like, making it beautiful, just like Alan, just like what you were saying. I would put it probably like 2 or 3 when it comes to, like, favorite on it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to go over in it. I enjoyed every second of it. I got about halfway through watching it again with the Comanche dub, and my internet started playing with me, so I wasn't able to finish it.
Oh, really? Let's talk about that some more. Yeah. So this is directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who I have been following for years because he directed a short on the internet. And I'm trying to... I lost my page. I've been following his career for years. He directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, some episodes. He did an episode of Black Mirror, Devin, which you probably know. It was the one with Wyatt Russell.
Oh, right. Yep.
Game Tester, I think, or something like that.
Yep, that was a good one.
But he directed a Portal short back in... I'm trying to find it. Where did it go?
It looks like it was 2011.
2011, Portal No Escape. He's directed an episode of The Boys, an episode of The Lost Symbol, which everyone forgot existed. And he's directing the pilot for the Waterworld TV series.
Oh,
what?
yes.
Oh.
I can't wait to see that. I cannot wait to see that.
We're gonna have to do that movie on this podcast.
I've never seen it either.
You guys have never seen Waterworld?
No.
I saw the Universal Studios stunt extravaganza, but never the movie.
Which is amazing, right?
I didn't even see that.
So just imagine how good the movie is.
No.
He's also rumored to be writing a Portal film coming up. So, but yeah, I've been like, when I saw he was attached to this, I was like, I'm in. Like, I'm not a huge Predator. Like, back then I hadn't seen all the Predator films, but I was like, I am in just because of this director. And I think they'd made a lot of cool choices with this and told the story in a different way, different setting, changing things up, but still keeping that lore alive in the franchise.
Agreed. I mean, they did the thing that I wanted them to do. I mean, I guess spoilers or minor spoilers. Can we get into spoilers?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We've kind of been just going for it. They did the gun thing, and I'm so happy they did the gun thing.
They started the gun thing. They didn't finish the gun thing.
No, that scares me.
Why?
And makes me hopeful. So it scares me because I'm worried that they're just off camera going to be like, oh yeah, I mean, obviously the Predator killed her and took the gun. That's what happened. But it makes me hopeful because if that happens, I want another one. I want Prey 2.
Did you watch the credits?
No, I didn't know there was a credits thing.
There's not a thing after the credits. The credits are the film in like tapestry or wall art, like the Native American art.
I saw that and I think I was like, oh, it's the plot, and then just didn't pay attention.
At the very end, when the story ends, uh, the camera goes up on the tapestry, and you just see Predator ships come in through that. So they're setting it up for a sequel.
Oh, cool!
Like, go back and rewatch it. It's probably my favorite post-credit scene of the year.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
I see you thinking about that. Is that actually it?
Yes, just don't tell Roy Kent. Did
you catch this, Ryan?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for the second one. I almost didn't, because I almost did what you did, because like I got up, the credits roll, and I go back, like, oh, okay, they're doing that thing that Wally did, with the, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the credits,
100%.
And then I must have caught it at the right time, because I caught the part that Alan was talking about, because I was about to stop the credits, and I was like, oh, hang on a second. It's like, yes.
I want a sequel.
So what I liked the most about it was one of the reasons why I like it so much is because it puts me back to when I was a kid. As you guys know, and some people listening might know, I'm not originally from Pennsylvania. When I was 8 years old, my parents moved to Pennsylvania from Alton, Illinois, which is like 25 minutes north of St. Louis, Missouri. And around that area, there is a lot of land where there is a lot of indigenous peoples, like ancient buildings.
Wow.
And what I like, and it's not officially what it is, but I call it the Mississippi Pyramid. That's not officially what it's called, but it's what I call it. It's called like the Mound, and it's got like the tribal name in front of it. Where you're a good like 5 miles from St. Louis or 4 miles from St. Louis on the Illinois side of the river, and you walk up on this thing, and you can see this, and you can see the skyline of St. Louis from it. It's huge. But they would have event days where the tribe would actually like do their dances. They would do lessons. They would teach. They would be walking around in like native clothing. All of this different stuff, and just watching this movie reminded me of all of that.
Oh, I bet.
Because
that's very cool.
Yeah, because I mean, like even the terrain, like where this tribe was in the Midwest. In that, not exactly in that area, but in areas of the Midwest that look a lot like that part of Illinois and Missouri. So whenever they were focusing on the tribe, all I could think about was me at like 5-6 years old going on a field trip to this place.
I mean, I think even taking it like the next step farther, I don't have the same kind of connection as you did to that, but I mean, how incredibly clever is it to set it in that time period where you don't have a muscle-bound guy with hand grenades and machine guns? You have literally, sticks and at most like a flintlock pistol to defend yourself against this, and just how clever they were to get around that.
Yeah, it breaks the formula for a Predator movie that you were just complaining about. Like, like it completely turns the formula on its head. Like it strips you of everything and makes it very primal. And I think it's a great way to take the franchise, to tell this story that has been teased since Predator 2. And like, I think this is a great way to go about that.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear the funny little fact about the gun? Because this is the only fact about this movie that I know.
No.
Is it about them having to go to a fan for the gun?
Yeah, so they couldn't find the exact gun and didn't know how to make the replica, but a fan made a replica of the gun, so they approached the fan to get the fan's replica of the gun for this movie, which like I'm sure happens in Hollywood more often than we think, but I think that's very cool.
Another example of something like that was for the Mandalorian finale. They needed stormtroopers, and Disney didn't have enough suits, so they brought in the 501st from Los Angeles to be stormtroopers because they already had the suits. Yeah.
And to be part of the 501st, those suits have to be movie quality. It's part of being that is one of my favorite organizations from any fandom. they go to children's hospitals.
Yeah.
They volunteer for charity runs to like hand stuff out and to be there for like the kids as of the parents in the race. Like the 501st is a tremendous organization.
Wow.
Were there any moments in this that stood out to you guys?
For me, it was the end. I mean, this is stupid. This is going to be stupid. But it was literally when the Predator's trapped in the mud and she's like, you don't go any farther. And you saw everything that she was setting up come together so stupidly well. And then you saw him make the mistake, or I'm assuming the Predator's him. You saw the Predator make the mistake as he was making it. And you're like, oh, this is so good. That was, I don't know, that was a perfect moment for me. I loved it.
I can, for the life of me, I cannot think of a movie that I've seen in years that had quicksand become part of the plot. And that's pretty much what it was. Like it was a mud quicksand pit.
Yeah.
Muck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I when I was in Scouts, we had this thing called the muck hike at the camp that I used to go to. And you walked a trail through a swamp, and that is muck. I have walked through that exact stuff that is like shoulder high before.
Gross.
Yeah.
It is fun. It is smelly. It is
go to
stinky.
Different camps.
It stinks.
Yeah.
No, you voluntarily went to go do this, and I voluntarily went to do it. It's fun.
I voluntarily would have gone home.
Me too. 100%.
It's
okay,
fun.
so who
it's
else?
So much
who
fun.
else? Serious thing about movie. Who else was watching her with her axe on a string and going, "I would have chopped my face off with that same thing," because she was so good at pulling it back and catching it. I would have pulled it back, missed, and then axe in the head.
Yeah.
Like the whole time, that was my only thought.
I have run into a few naysayers about this movie, and that's one of the ones, and that's one of the things that gets brought up. Funny enough, there's a fan site on Facebook that I'm a part of that's just Predator and Alien. Like it's that whole thing together. And that's the only place I see people complaining about this movie, which is the funniest thing to me.
Yeah.
I am so done with internet fandom. I am so sick and tired of it. All of them.
Same
every
here,
single one of them. I do not like. I don't want to be a part of any of it anymore.
Yeah.
Keep your thoughts to yourself. If we can't have a civil discourse about it, then I don't want to hear it.
That's fair.
So I'm not going to bring up any of the junk that gets brought up by some people. What I am going to bring up are the things that I could definitely see people having actual problems with and not just wanting to complain. So the rope on the axe, I've seen people bring that up because of exactly what Devin's saying. Like they show her being good with a hatchet, of throwing it and everything, and that's great. It's just there are some people out there that are like, that's a little much when it comes to like, reflexes. But at the same time, the way I see it, you grow up in that environment, you've developed those reflexes.
Right.
Not to mention,
that's how I see it.
Not to mention, most of the time she's throwing it at wood, so it's not like she's going to pull it back that way. Like she's going to go up and pull it out like by the handle. She's not going to be pulling the rope to get it back.
And also, it's a pretty known trajectory. I mean, if it's sticking in the tree this way and you pull on it this way, it's going to come in a certain direction. I mean, my complaint wasn't really a complaint. I just know me and know that I would have chopped my face off.
Yeah, no, I feel like everyone listening, watching, have seen the movie feels the exact same way.
Yeah.
And then other people were talking about the design of the Predator's face, which I have no problem with. I feel like if they would have had the technology they have today, I feel like the original Predator's face that we saw in the 1987 movie would have looked more like this one than the one that they actually made.
Okay, so going back to the Predator. Predators are hunting to evolve themselves. So does it make sense that they would be less evolved and look different in this one than they would in Predator?
Especially when you're talking about like a 300-year difference, yes.
Yeah.
So that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah. and there's that. And then this was one of the funniest things that I've seen so far when it comes to this exact topic. The one person says there's a lot of variability in in human appearance. I would expect it's the same thing in alien species.
Yeah. Not
And
wrong.
then and then the person who started the whole conversation goes, right, but if we're going with the bruised potato look, then let's make it a stud instead of a spud.
You know, I watched this movie. I watched the whole movie. I don't remember having a problem with his face. I thought his mask was cool. That's all I got.
People like the beady eyes.
Okay.
I mean, I've
Fair.
seen alien creatures transform being the same creatures way worse than they did in this. And
Same.
The main example I can think of is the Klingons in Star Wars or Star Trek Discovery. Like
Yeah.
they oh man. Like Klingons, like the history of the look of the Klingons is so crazy. But like Discovery, I'm like, why? Like that's a weird choice. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Devin, you should look up. You know what a Klingon looks like, right?
I do. Yeah, I do. Absolutely, I
Look
do.
up. Go. You're on your computer right now. Look up.
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery Klingon. 'Cause I really want to hear your reaction to them.
I really want to see his facial expression when he sees
Yeah.
Why do they look like that? What happened?
They lost their hair. I have no idea. They lost their... It's
Yeah,
more than issues with their hair, though. I have to say that.
Well, to be fair, I just then got rid of Star Trek Discovery and just searched for Klingon to make sure that I was even thinking of the right alien species.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I guess, your fictional aliens can undergo whatever evolutionary line they want. I will not yuck your yums. If you want, that kind of a Klingon, I won't tell you no.
Yeah.
But, and if you want this kind of predator, I won't tell you no. But if you also want, they evolved beady eyes over the course of 300 years, and that's really what your predator looks like, fine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I really wish people could just be like, "Oh, cool, that's what you like. This is what I like." Wouldn't it be interesting if, and then you like do like a collaborative thing or something?
Yeah.
That's not what, and unfortunately, that's not what happens.
No,
it just keeps on going until someone calls someone else something horrible, and then it just implodes.
Yeah.
Neat. Isn't the internet great, guys?
Oh,
Net win for the world.
So, what was your guys' favorite predator non-human kill in this?
Oh,
The wolf. Wolf or coyote, whatever it was.
Oh, that was a cool one.
Yeah.
Just the way that they presented it with the heat vision on the rabbit and then the wolf and then the actual battle where the wolf attacks and then he guts it and the wolf like stumbles for a second. It's like, oh man. And then taking the trophy like you're used to seeing, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I really like that one. I like the snake one though too.
Okay.
Mine was the bear. What a cool way to show this predator. I mean, so in, I guess, 2 movies in a row that we've talked about, in The Predator and in this movie, we have seen reveal of Predator be him being doused in blood. I think this one did it better.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you didn't like seeing the internals of a human spilling out onto the predator's face.
It made it more gross. I don't know why. I don't know why it did, but it totally did.
Well, because you know exactly what organ that blood was coming from, and you don't want that on you.
And I have one of those. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay.
What was yours?
Mine was the bear as well,
Yeah.
because I just think, just her accidentally getting the bear's attention to being saved by the predator unintentionally, and then like them showing like, hey, this, like this predator's down here to collect, the most vicious, or it's trying to find, the most, for its trophies. But and I gave the meme to Alan to try to post, but it's too grainy to do, exposed. So it's pretty much a drawing from like the 50s of a guy beating up a bunch of crabs with a mallet. And on top of it, it says, I'm 30 minutes into Prey. Every time they show the predator, this is all I can think of. But I mean, I really like them showing the predator going after other predators on planet Earth and not just humans for once, and like how it goes about that, because the rattlesnake thing was perfect.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it was so cool to actually see how a snake truly does sense its prey. It doesn't do it by eyesight, it does it by smell. And that rattlesnake smelled something it never smelled before, so it went into defensive pose immediately. Like, hair standing up on my arm. I absolutely loved it. Yeah.
And you watch the predator like work his way through the system of like hunters in that. Like, he started with the rattlesnake and then went to the fox, then to the bear, and then he's like, all right, it's human now.
Yeah.
And like, that was so cool.
Now, is there anything that would have made this movie better for you guys? Because I have something.
Arnold Schwarzenegger showing up as Dutch.
Hold on. Was that gonna happen?
No.
Okay, good. You guys baited me earlier, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, he showed up as a character called French.
So mad. And what was your thing, Ryan?
I would have been fine without the French fur trappers.
I mean, it makes sense for the time period.
It does.
And it brings in the pistol. So I was okay with that. Like, I didn't mind that.
Here's my thing. I understand why they did it. It is 100% true to everything that happens between the interactions between the French fur trappers and the indigenous characters is 100% accurate to how times were back then. Totally get it. I wouldn't want to change how they did it the way they did it. I just feel like it would have been a little bit better if, instead of having like a horde of French fur trappers, it was like maybe one really well experienced fur trapper to kind of parallel the predator being in the woods. Because honestly, a lot of French fur trappers did go out on their own to do stuff that wasn't unheard of. They didn't go out in hordes.
But then but there's also the subsect of the Predator fans who'd be like, you didn't even see him kill that many people, man. Like, he only killed that one fur trapper dude. Like, I wanted him to slaughter a whole army. Because bringing in like a large group like that, it kind of parallels the original Predator. You have all these guys out there who are hunters, and then they get cocky thinking they could take this thing out, and then they can't. Like, I kind of like that as a parallel to what we know from Predator and Predators and the Predator. Not so much Predator 2, because it's pretty much just Danny Glover.
Right.
I mean, I totally get that, and that's fine. I completely understand. It's just, if I would have done this, I would have had like a Casey Jones fur trapper, like a guy on his own, like that type of a thing. Like multiple weapons, like not just not multiple weapons, like a musket and a pistol. Anyway, but it's and you could still have the arrogance. You could still have all of the negativity around there. It would just be a little bit, because to be honest, like, even though I know how they set it up, they show the camp, there's a lot of people there, there's a lot of Frenchmen there. It's not just the 3-4 guys they show. There's a whole camp of like 100 of them, because that's how they moved in groups for safety, to be safe, because they were being idiots. But it was almost like watching a battle royale fight on a video game with like spawn points of like all these fur trappers just popping up out of the ground. Like, oh, look, one gets killed, another one pops up out of a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see that. I also like the kind of subtext that I thought that the fur trappers brought up. I mean, especially
with the buffalo.
Exactly,
showing
with
the
the
buffalo and everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, I totally, when it comes to how they did it, I wouldn't have done it any other way, because they did it right.
But
personally,
yeah.
I just would have liked maybe just having like one, just have like one on his own, kind of parallel. You've got these predators from Alien. You've got these predators from space coming down one at a time. doing their thing, taking trophies, and then here's a single French fur trapper coming into their territory and doing the same thing.
Part of the reason I disagree with that is I don't think the fur trappers are meant to parallel the predator that's in this.
Oh, okay.
No.
I think they're
no.
I think they're meant to parallel the Comanche tribe, like the two different fighting styles and hunting styles of the two groups against this predator. Like it's the two groups being contrasted against each other and how they handle the predator. Like I don't think it's like I think if you put one fur trapper against the predator, then you have to do like just the girl against the predator, and then you lose all of the other fighting styles that you see in this and with the rest of the tribe. So I think they're more of a parallel to the tribe itself than the predator. Which
I completely agree for what they did. I'm not saying that that's what the French fur trappers in the movie were trying to do. Yeah. I'm saying in the version that I would have made, you would have not liked because I would have done what I said.
You're the one fur trapper. That makes sense. I did like how they approached language in this, though.
Oh yeah,
where you couldn't really understand what they were saying. Okay.
Yeah, we need to talk about that because that's huge with this movie.
Yeah. So you guys didn't have subtitles when the French spoke either, right?
No.
I watched the whole movie with Dutch subtitles, so if they had switched and like subtitled them, I missed it.
Okay.
There was no English subtitles for the French.
Okay. There were, when I watched it in the Comanche version, there were no subtitles either. I don't know I don't know if there's meant to be, and it's just Hulu was acting up, and I couldn't get over to the subtitles menu or something. But I didn't need them. Like I liked the not being able to understand the French.
I did too. I thought it was really a cool touch
because it put you in her place.
Yeah,
right away.
Their place, because you're supposed to be seeing this from their point of view, not the French's point of view.
Yep.
So being confused as much as the character is part of it, and I absolutely loved that. And the amount of this that I saw in Comanche was amazing.
Yeah. How was that, Alan? You said you watched it in Comanche as well.
It's good. Like. The weird thing is it's a dub, so they're still speaking English, but you hear the Comanche. Like it's weird. It's bizarre because according to the internet, they filmed both, but I don't think they did film both. I think they filmed one and then dubbed it in the other.
Got it.
They even talked about doing the thing they do in Hunt for Red October, where they start off speaking the language and then slowly transition to English, which would have been cool. And I think the film kind of does that at the beginning because.
It does, yeah.
But like not seeing them do it, like it being on the black screen, it was different. So
it definitely makes sense. Side note, weird Devin question: what was that flower they were eating the whole time?
Can I make a little thing about this? This is one of those topics that I did not mention that I've seen people complain about.
Oh no, is it? No. So I'm not complaining about it. I just don't want to eat this flower.
I know you're not. I know you're not. As far as I know, it is a hyped up version of a real plant that helps with like healing. I don't know exactly what it does. I've tried to do some research on it, but the plant for how much it drops your body temperature in this is fictional.
Fine, but I came into this expecting her to be like, here comes me covering up in mud, and she didn't, and I thought that was a clever way around it.
Because especially, when she falls into the muck, like that's what I thought was like, oh, look, she found her way to hide from the predator this early in the movie. They're setting it up. And like, no. It's the orange flower to help with the chief's knee.
Which is cool. You know what? Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that's all I've got on Prey. So
okay, so
I liked it.
Yeah, okay, good. So I'm taking this back to a question that I asked you guys on the first Predator one that we did.
Okay.
After watching all the movies and watching the Shane Black movie, the running joke that they had in the Shane Black movie, do you feel that when it comes to just actual speaking of what the Predators are, is it the correct term for them? Because remember, I
No.
asked this
Yeah,
after
I know.
the first one.
No, I'm still with the. Was it Olivia Munn that said no and it doesn't make sense as Predator? I'm still gonna say that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're hunting for sport, yeah, I don't think it works.
Bass fishermen is what I'll call them from here on out. I did take some things away from that movie. I didn't hate all of it.
I didn't really think this would work, but both of you guys changed your responses to that question, which is great. I love this. Just great.
I'm very upset with all three of us. We talked about the Predator for about 20 minutes and did not mention the brain damaged dog at all.
Oh right, I ignore that part.
He lobotomized it.
Yeah.
Like, all we know now is that Nebraska is not good at shooting things in the head.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got for Prey and the Predator.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan, for making us watch all of these movies. What
Yeah,
franchise?
thank you. This is fun.
What franchise do you have up next for us that you're gonna have us go through after a break? Like you're gonna take a break from making us do a franchise.
I really need to kind of sort things out a little bit.
Okay.
When it comes to the movie list, like I'm probably gonna have a lot of like one-offs with you guys.
Well, you've got some time.
And then we'll go from there.
You definitely have some time because Devin, what are you gonna be having us do for the next 3 weeks?
It's a franchise, if you can't guess. So this is officially the run-up to the Rings of Power TV show on Amazon. I can't wait for it. And one of the things I've been really curious about is how does Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy, hold up in a post-Game of Thrones, post-fantasy explosion world? So for these next 3 weeks, we are going to be watching the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings with special commentary on Devin about the history of them and specifically where they fit and how they fit into the Bakshi version of it as well. If you don't know what that is, Alan and Ryan, don't worry, I'll make you both watch some of it at some point. But we'll be talking about the Lord of the Rings, and I cannot wait.
You'll be making Alan watch those. You'll be making
Fair. You'll be gone.
Yeah. Well, Ryan's gonna miss a week. I might have somebody in mind to fill in. We'll talk after the show. I just looked it up. We are doing a Lord of the Rings film a week until Rings of Power comes out. So
we did this.
We do our show on Tuesday. That Friday, the Friday that our Return of the King episode comes out will be the premiere of.
That's amazing.
So we definitely did that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was completely intentional. Now, Devin, which version of the films are you having me watch?
Extended, hands down, extended. I don't want to have to every episode be like, well, did you know they added this scene? Did you know they added this scene and then this scene? Just watch the scenes. The extended versions, I think, are better and just worth watching anyway.
Okay. By the end of this, am I gonna have to be like Peter Jackson and hypnotize myself to forget all of it?
You will, 100%. You will.
Awesome.
I don't know. I wonder. I want to know how you think. I'm really curious about this.
Okay. Well, I think that does it for this week's episode. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. If you haven't already, go check us out on Twitch. We've been trying to find a time where we can get on and do some gaming stuff. Maybe Devin and I will do that this week down the road. But you can listen to our podcast on all major podcasting platforms. And until next time, for You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And if it bleeds, we can kill it. We will see you next week.